Good afternoon. Today is tax day, April 15th. Welcome to the Public Works Gang Reduction Committee. I'm Councilmember Joe Buscaino. I'm joined by Curran Price of the new 9th. Thank you so much for being patient with us. We had a long council meeting today, and we had to push this committee meeting about a half hour later. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We have a meaty agenda. A couple important items that relates to sidewalks, which I'm excited about. And we have a number of consent items. If I can just direct you to the agenda. And Mr. Price, if you need to pull any of these items, please let me know. We're looking at taking consent on items 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 11. Again, that's 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 11. You good with that? Good with that. Okay, hearing no objection, we will approve these items on consent and send that to council. Specifically on item number 8, I'm really excited about naming Amy Radovic Square in front of Narbonne High School in my district. Amy was taken to us just too soon, and she had an incredible role as one of the counselors, educator at Narbonne High School, so we're looking forward to just keeping her memory alive at Narbonne High School by the naming of the square. So with that, we will move to item 5. But before I do that, Michael, sorry, look, you're just excited to be here. Thank you. Let's do the let's take general public comment, and I'd like to invite Diane Scher to come forward, and we can just fulfill our general public comment.
Will that be for 2 minutes?
Yes. Hi. Good afternoon. Welcome. Just you can speak into the mic, ma'am.
I'm just here to speak on behalf of sculpture. I know in the arts generally sculpture's been excluded, but it is a full body type of activity that we don't do enough of as sculptors in Los Angeles. I'm speaking to the Department of Public Works because I do know a percentage of the construction and design fees does go for art elements.
Right.
And I guess I just wanted to let you know that the sculptors would appreciate if there were more opportunities to actually work on doing sculpture for public works, and perhaps you might consider keeping the art funds within the Department of Public Works, because I understand Cultural Affairs currently does that, but they're talking a different sort of thing. It's like art's gone on a vacation. I don't know where it is, but I'm a sculptor, and a lot of sculptors in town. We've had a bit of a problem getting commissions for sculptures, or there's absolutely no way to propose anything. But there's a huge workforce that wants to work, and since if you do have gang reduction, those are the people who are the brute force, because sculpture is not easy to complete a bronze, for example. It has to be made and remade 6 times. That's an enormous amount of labor. Right. And I've been talking to the Public Works Commission, and I'm commending them on the Department of Public Works heritage of exquisite connoisseurship, which is the City Hall. Right. Was built by Public Works. So perhaps things can be shifted around to get sculpture more of a chance in the future.
Thanks, Diane. Appreciate it. Can you just get your information over to Dennis? We'd be more than happy to facilitate introduction with the Department of Cultural Affairs. Anything we can do to help. I mean, my goal in my years ahead is to commission a Gary Lee Moore bust somewhere in the city of LA, perhaps. I mean, maybe one of our local resident artists can help with that.
Lots of us. How big you want it?
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for joining us. And yesterday was Arts Day in the city of Los Angeles, too, so we'll be more than happy to facilitate some introductions here for you. Okay? Okay, with that, we will close general public comment and move to the agenda. Let's look at item number 5, please.
Item number 5 is the motion from Council Members O'Farrell and Labange relative to rejecting the owner's offer to dedicate the northernmost portion of the property located at 5750 Hollywood Boulevard.
Thank you, Michael. We held this item for a technical amendment for BOE. If you can just explain that technical amendment, and we'll approve the item.
Absolutely. We've been working in coordination with the council office, with CD13, as well as the CLA and city attorney to reword the moving clauses of the motion to effectuate the intent of CD13. And I can go ahead and read that change. And
Please do for the record.
Into the record.
Thank you.
The new moving clauses will be, I therefore move that the City Council direct the Department of City Planning to delete conditions of any discretionary actions requiring dedication, or direct BOE and LADOT to approve a full waiver of street dedication required by LAMC 12.37, whichever applies, as the dedication is not necessary to satisfy area mobility needs for at least the next 20 years for the proposed high-density mixed-use project at 5750 Hollywood Boulevard. I further move that the City Council direct the Department of City Planning to delete conditions of any discretionary actions requiring street widening or relocation of existing streetlights for the proposed high-density mixed-use project at 5750 Hollywood Boulevard. I further move that the City Council authorize these departments to make any technical corrections or clarifications to the above direction to effectuate the intent of this motion.
Thank you. So you can get a copy of that, Michael. Do you have that all jotted down? Just
do.
kidding. Oh, you have a copy of it at least? Okay, great.
I'm a fast writer.
Very good. Mr. Price, any questions on this amendment?
Oh, that
Technical?
sounds pretty thorough and complete to me.
Okay, so hearing no objection, we'll approve this item as amended.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let's talk sidewalks. Let's go to item number 2. I know our city engineer is here. If you can read that into the record.
Item number 2 is a report from the Bureau of Engineering relative to the status of the implementation of the city sidewalk repair program.
First and foremost, I want to thank just all levels that were instrumental in the Willits case, and I know you were called in and working with our city attorney, Mike Fewer, and others, and just want to really applaud your efforts for moving forward, finally, after 40 years, coming together with a comprehensive sidewalk repair program. So just congratulations to our entire Public Works family. We now know we're on the hook for $31 million in the next 20 years, 30 years.
We believe 30 years.
30 years, right? And we now know that we're going to move forward. But this item specifically deals with our city sidewalk repair program in front of city-owned property. And we just wanted to get an update on where we stand. I don't know about you, Mr. Price, but I'm starting to see some markings around our city-owned facilities, specifically our municipal building in downtown San Pedro. So, Mr. Gary Lee Moore.
I made some markings myself. That's what makes to see them.
So I know we're moving forward, and just given, we also have, just give us an update on specifically on the departments. Have they been cooperative in getting the information to you, and if you could just give us an update on them identifying locations and forwarding it to your shop.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Gary Lee Moore, city engineer, and I'm joined here at the table with my esteemed colleague,
John Reamer, Inspector of Public Works.
and also from Bureau of Engineering,
Carl Nelson in the Street and Stormwater Division.
and our program manager under this very important sidewalk repair program. On February 3rd, your city council approved the implementation of the 2014-2015 sidewalk repair program. And we understand and know the urgency that the mayor and the city council has on this program. And on February 9th, we held a meeting with our city family, and we've been meeting weekly and now bi-weekly. And I just really want to thank, the departments that are with us on this. The mayor's office, the Board of Public Works, the Bureau of Contract Administration, the Bureau of Street Services, the Bureau of Street Lighting, the City Administrative Officer, our Chief Legislative Analyst, the Department of Recreation and Parks, and the Department of Transportation. And I also want to thank all the departments that have facilities, because you're so right, Councilman Busca, without their help and feeding in the information, it wouldn't be possible to make the progress that we've made to date. And with that, I'll share some numbers. We did submit a report on March 13th, but I have some more up-to-date numbers that I'd like to share with you.
Yes, I have a copy of that.
Yeah. We have now identified 247 city facilities that we need to inspect, and Recreation and Parks has about another 400-plus facilities to evaluate. But the good news is we've actually assessed 197 of those sites as of this week. Unfortunately, 186 of them do need repairs. And this coming Monday, we will have awarded 54 sites, we call them, different facilities will have been awarded and in construction. So we're very happy with that. We have another 10 sites that are out to bids, with the bids to be received next Wednesday. And we've actually completed 4 sites also. So it's action in motion. You can imagine we all use the sidewalks in Los Angeles, but when you have to start repairing them, you really look at them. And, in this, I think everybody's well aware that, unfortunately, trees have played a factor into some of, if not the major problem in the cracking of the sidewalks. And our field assessments have found exactly that. When you look at this, you'll see we all are aware that the sidewalk is cracked and needs replacement. But the curb and gutter may be damaged, and that will need to be addressed also. Sometimes like along the area here, City Hall East, you have decorative planters that the trees have uprooted the sidewalk, but the planter will also have to be repaired. So it's not just replacing sidewalk, but you have to look at many different areas when it comes to the tree root damage. And also, where possible, we're upgrading the tree wells to the new city standard of 4 foot by 6 foot. And I definitely, I'm going to keep stressing teamwork in this. And I really want to thank the Bureau of Street Services and their arborists and their team. It is really, truly a public works team working on this with the other departments. One of the other things that you'll see when you look at the sidewalk and you stare at them with your head down like we've been doing is utility boxes along the way. So when you're at a curb ramp and you need to install a curb ramp, you're going to find possibly when they installed that street light many, many years ago, the utility box was placed right next to it. Great location. Unfortunately, when you're building a curb ramp, it needs to be moved or modified. Or a street lighting pull box there in the sidewalk. So those are other things that as we do this, you have to take the time to provide some design to move the location of these utility boxes, so we do indeed have an ADA compliant curb ramp and sidewalk. And another thing that you consider when you're going through here is decorative paving, and we're blessed with some of that, and like around the CD15, San Pedro Municipal building. And so you have to provide that design because we want to match and keep the integrity of these beautiful sidewalks. And as I mentioned also, curb and gutter, where you've had issues of uplift or maintenance challenges turning as you turn corners and so forth, where we found damage. And sometimes you'll even find a maintenance hole in the middle of a sidewalk. But we're very pleased, and I really want to thank obviously the entire team, and we appreciate the leadership of the mayor's office and the council offices on this. And we held a walking tour last week, and we gathered the council offices, and the mayor's office was there, our Board of Public Works commissioner was there, and the departments, and we did a walking tour around El Pueblo because it's such a iconic, the birthplace of Los Angeles, and it had so many of these issues that I've just described to you. And it was important, it was fun to see the challenges of it and recognize what we want to do to try to be a little more aggressive. We're working, I want to thank our general manager, Chris Espinosa of El Pueblo. Right now we're where the trees run along Cesar Chavez, we're looking at being creative. And he says, maybe there's some room that we can move the fence and we can move the sidewalk. And thus, possibly looking at ways that we can work with the urban forest, be a little more creative and a little more proactive. So we're really appreciate the leadership that we're looking at, the creativity on opportunities where possible. And we know that's not possible in all locations, but it's
It's important to let our residents know that we need to do our part and fix those sidewalks in front of these public buildings and make them accessible. And I'm happy to see we're moving in that effort.
And we're anticipating every few weeks of continuing to go out with more bid packages, and that's.
Tell me about the bid, the bid process. How can we expedite the bid and award process moving forward?
Well, we've been once again using the teamwork that we have. We've used some of the contracts that Rec and Parks had initiated. We've used some of our urgent necessity contracts within the Board of Public Works contracts and within the Bureau of Engineering. We're also looking at initiating new contracts that would able to get the work out as fast as possible. So you'd have an open competition, you'd establish a list, and as the work comes up, they would have hopefully, we would have predetermined the cost, and then the work would go to them at that predetermined. So we're looking at being very creative and entrepreneurial here so that the work and the residents can see this happening as soon as possible.
As far as bidding goes, it was the will of this committee that we look at the contracting and ensuring that we employ some of our youth, our reentry folks coming through the system, and we'd like to use those OCB contractors. That includes LA Conservation Corps or GAP. Maybe John can chime in on that. What's the status of that?
Thank you, Councilmember. That has not escaped us. We recognize that this is an opportunity not just to replace and restore broken sections of sidewalk through our community, but also to invest, if you will, into the lives of men and women in the city, local individuals that want to work, that can work, as well as small local businesses. So that is a highlight of our conversation. As we move forward with this contracting vehicle, that certainly will be at the forefront of those things that we take into consideration. We already have a tracking mechanism in place for our projects where we have local hire agreements, so it's just a matter of applying those here, and we certainly plan on doing that.
And does the Bureau already is working on a list that's going to allow a pre-list of approved vendors that will allow residents to tap into to fix the sidewalks adjacent to private property?
We've had a couple meetings on it. We're up staffing. It was most important to get going in this program, and so this will be what we'll be doing over the next several months here. It was really important to
compiling a list of pre-approved contractors.
Getting that out on the street so contractors can submit to us. It was really important, though, to get assessed and get going on this program and not do it the same old way. And I think that was really impressed upon us by the mayor and the council is, let's not do everything in series. Let's do a lot of things in parallel, and that's what we've been doing. And for the work with the Office of Beautification, we've given one contract to the Coalition for Responsible Community Development and one to the Los Angeles Conservation Corps. So we've actually been able to give them work.
Appreciate
that. We hear you loud and clear, and it's very important to us. We think this is a great opportunity to have the community deeply involved in this construction.
And the Department of Recreation and Parks is working on its own on this because they have they have obviously over 400 sites.
Well, it's really an integrated team, and they're in the process they'll be filling their positions. We've been concentrating on the 250 city sites. If we get to the completion of those sites, which we're doing about 4 per day or so, then we'll move over and be assisting Rec and Parks. It's not an us and them mentality, it's a we. And it's really about teamwork.
And then my last question, Gary, I'll turn it over to my colleagues. The staffing levels, I see in the report here, you have a number of lone staff and consultants from various parts of the Bureau. So a total of 23. In preparing for this next budget cycle, are you anticipating seeking more positions, even more so now with the settling this Willits case?
You know, the council had authorized 51 positions in this current budget, and I know we're all eagerly awaiting the mayor's anticipated budget. But I think we'll be looking at that, and if we need to add more staff, we won't be shy to request that, because we recognize the importance of this project here and the public-private partnerships that we can create here. And the key thing is to deliver it as efficiently and expeditiously.
Right, and we want our folks to say, that we're being proactive. We have $27 million. We can't sit on it. We have a sense of urgency to fix these sidewalks adjacent to the property that we own.
Yeah, so we feel that, and we're looking at that right now about the possibilities of and need for staff if it needs to exceed this. So departments are sitting together and discussing it after.
Thanks, Gary. Turn over to my colleagues. Any questions, comments? Mr. Price?
Question. First of all, thanks for the report. This is an exciting time, and as you said, it's a chance for us to do a couple things. Can you give us an idea of what the timing is for the completion of these first 197 locations or
yes.
100 locations? That's been
Yeah, we're looking at over the next 6 months to finish up. I would say hopefully 100 of the sites, actual completion of about 100 sites in the next 6 months here.
No, that sounds great.
And so we're also, in this, it's the contractors, everybody's partnering to move forward, and we're going to increase the expectations about completion. That's important as we've all learned, or that we're learning in the beginning processes here. We'll be definitely setting ambitious completion schedules also.
No, I think we should, and I think the timing is going to be important. Looks like we're going to be in the sidewalk repair business for a little while, several years. Huh? And so, I hope we do use it as an opportunity to, cultivate a whole new cadre of service providers. I mean, I don't want to suggest that, repairing a sidewalk is not rocket science. I mean, obviously there's a lot of expertise that's required, but we got a lot of small, medium-sized companies that can do that who've never had a chance. And I think we ought to, as we work to do as much as we can, as quick as we can, with the established crew, I think we also ought to be setting aside a piece at least for new businesses that who have the expertise, but maybe have not had a job, but doing that for the city before. Maybe it's a contractor who's done major projects, but, can do a sidewalk kind of repair. But it's a chance for us to kind of cultivate, identify, other businesses who we can work with, who can be part of a list as time goes on. As I said, we're going to be making that shift from the public sector to private properties, and it would be great to be able to give, a list of 20 approved contractors who we know can do the job to a resident who has a choice at that point. And at the same time, we have created some business opportunities, some real business opportunities for, some of these small contractors that could do the work. So I'm excited with you, and I look forward to working with my colleagues and staff as we really try to monitor, shape, focus, and implement a program that can do multiple things at the same time.
And our folks need to know that we're making progress as well. We need to publicize the hell out of this effort through all of our social media networks and websites. And I mean, geez, as soon as we have trucks rolling and fixing sidewalks, we need to tweet the hell out of that. Let people know that we're moving, because there's a lack of trust. Let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, Commissioner James, we talked about this through SOSLA. Folks don't trust the city in ensuring that we're going to be responsive and fix our sidewalks adjacent to public property. And we just need to have that sense of trust and let folks know that we're moving on this and that we're getting results. Mr. Cedillo.
Just ditto to what my colleague said. Just talked to my staff this morning or yesterday. Very pleased that you're in the leadership of this initiative, and I'm very proud of the vote we took because I think it's important. We should do no less. we've done our own assessments from our office. We have some sites that aren't on your list, and so we want to meet with you guys to go over that because we think they might rise above on the priority because they're very important. When we have a senior center in Lincoln Heights, it's very important to us. It's probably one of the most utilized centers with a lot of activity there, and yet without access, it becomes a barrier. We know that. And so, but we're very excited. I'm very excited about the vote we took, and I'm very excited about your leadership and us moving forward. But I agree also, let's get a component. I know our office will partner with you, but I think let's get a component part that is about making the public aware that we're getting things done, that we are back to basics, and that we're getting it done. And so there should be some communications aspect to this. We see it being very helpful in our Keep It Clean, or now our what's it called? CSI LA, right?
Yes, Clean Streets Initiative.
Yeah, Clean Streets Initiative. And so the more people are aware of it, the more they see us out there, they see the trucks, and know it's part of a campaign, then the better they feel about the city.
Yeah, we look forward to partnering with all of you and helping us get the information out there. We're always a little conservative till we get the first few done. So we're ready and with you, and we'll be out there helping and promoting.
We really appreciate, too, that you're prioritizing CD 15, 9, and 1. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that
And
effort.
2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and so on through all the way to 15. Yes.
I will tell you, I did go out with one of the crews, and it's not rocket science, but it is some delicate work.
Oh, no, it's a
And,
skill. It's a skill.
It's a skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I concur with my colleague, with the senator, about getting the list and creating the opportunities and doing it as fast, because the wider we go on this, the better off we're going to be. And so if we can bring in private sector partners to help us augment the work of the city, then the better off we are. And I'll be happy to go out with your crews again. They do a great job, and we did a great one over where we're welcoming the Special Olympics. And that's where we worked on the sidewalks there, over by Lincoln Park.
We appreciate all the council members and their staffs who are inputting, because it's invaluable to us. You know your districts, and it's so helpful.
Thank you. Great team. Thank you so much. Moving forward, we're going to note and file this report, and we'll continue to get updates.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Okay, let's take item number 3 next.
And prior to item number 3, would you like to reconsider the items that we heard before the council member arrived?
Yes.
Those are items number 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 11.
Yes.
Concur.
And without objection, we'll approve those items.
So item number 3 is a report from the Los Angeles Harbor Department and a request for the Department of Water and Power and Los Angeles World Airports to report relative to a request for a sidewalk survey and damage repair plan.
Great. I do know we received a report from the Harbor Department. We're going to get a verbal report from both LAWA and DWP. Right, Dennis? Very good. Okay. So, Tony, all the way from San Pedro, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here again. We can't forget our proprietary departments and really holding everyone accountable on fixing sidewalks as it relates to city-owned property. So we'll just start with, Mark, give us an update on some of the sidewalk repairs at the airport.
Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports. LAWA has an ADA sidewalk improvement program that's well underway. In 2010, we did a study that identified 513 areas within our central terminal area at LAX that needed improvement to better accommodate all persons with disabilities and others with access and functional needs. In response to that study, we established an ADA improvements program that divided the project into phases based on priorities and recognizing the need to maintain a path of travel for all of the passengers trying to access our terminals throughout the construction period. Thus far, we've committed $7.5 million toward ADA improvements in the central terminal area. Our overall project involves replacing curb ramps, striping roadways, passenger walkways, parking stalls, access points, improving sidewalks by installing the truncated domes near the passenger walkways, placing bollards and that separate walkways from vehicle traffic. Other improvements include installing new and more readable signage, relocating pedestrian traffic control buttons, adding drop-off and bus boarding spaces for persons with disabilities and others with access and functional needs. We're adding handrail extensions, relocating benches, removing protruding objects from them, and adjusting curb transitions. In 2013, we completed Phase 1, which cost $4.5 million, and focused on improving direct paths from accessible parking spaces in the CTA parking structures to the front entrances of the corresponding terminals and across the roadways. The ADA Phase 2 project scope of work includes additional improvements along the arrivals and departure levels at the curbside, in the commercial vehicle islands, at major crosswalks within the CTA, and in the parking structures. The Phase 2 work began late last year and is anticipated to continue through 2017, early January 2017, and that work will cost approximately $3 million. We have a Phase 3 that's been designed, which includes the remaining secondary and tertiary areas in the central terminal area, including the Centerway, and is estimated at $5 million.
Out of the breakdown, Mark, what's like this next fiscal year? What can we expect?
Next fiscal year, in FY15, we're in the middle of our Phase 2 program now.
Okay.
In FY15, the current fiscal year, we just got started in November, so it's a half a year's worth of work, basically. That's $600,000, and we're going to do about $1.5 million next year.
That includes the design phase as well?
That includes, that work's all been designed. Phase 2's all been designed, and it's all, we're under construction right now.
Got it.
Trying to manage it while we have 200,000 passengers a day going through the central terminal area. So yeah, that's $1.5 million worth of work in the next fiscal year. And then in FY17, we're finishing up, so it's about $900,000 in FY17.
Very good. Questions for the airport colleagues? Okay. Now I know we've split from power and water, and even though I got a report from the Harbor Department, I'm going to ask LAWA and DWP to stay after class 10 minutes. So we'll do. Who's? Go ahead, ma'am. Why don't you start?
I'm Julie Spake with the water system. The water system last fall did a inventory of all of our facilities, and we ended up. There was 140 facilities that were inspected and reviewed for sidewalk safety. We ended up with 30 that needed repairs. There may be sections within that 30, but multiple sections, but at 30 locations we have repairs. We estimate it to be 14,500 square feet of sidewalk, and that the cost to be about $400,000. We expect that to be done over the next 2 years. Some of it in the some of it in the current year, and some in the next fiscal year. Those cover our reservoirs, which frequently have a small section of sidewalk on one side of them, and a large part of the property may not have sidewalks. Pumping stations, which are usually in residential areas that do have sidewalks that are used regularly, but they're infrequently at corners, so they're just stretches of sidewalk. Also in the general area of our general office building as well. We do maintain a contract for paving. That paving contract also covers sidewalk and curb replacement. A significant amount of that work will be done under that existing contract. It's a multi-year contract, so that will be just a part of it. When we bid that contract, it comes with a line item for square feet of concrete for sidewalks.
Specifically, in my districts, as I have you in front of me, take a look at 1800 block of South Patton and the 1900 block of Cumbre, C-U-M-B-R-E. Those are two reservoirs there.
I'm sorry,
1800 South Patton, P-A-T-T-O-N, and the 1900 block of Cumbre, C-U-M-B-R-E. Those I know for sure have some issues based on my experience. Thank you, ma'am.
Take care of it.
And the power side?
I'm Marvin Moon, Director of Engineering for Power System, and our report, a lot of our activities for sidewalk repairs center on the station work that we're doing. We're doing a lot of drought-tolerant landscape replacements, and we have a program called the Station Beautification and Drought Tolerant Landscape Program. We've done an assessment of 143 power facilities under this program, and of that, 92 are in need of some sort of repair. And this covers approximately 58,842 square feet of sidewalk and driveway aprons. And including permitting, tree removal, and actual concrete work, the estimated cost for these repairs will be $1.6 million over the next 2 years. So if you add together the power facilities and the water facilities, we anticipate replacing approximately 73,500 square feet of sidewalk adjacent to 122 facilities over the next 2 years. And this money is currently in place.
In the budget.
In the budget, yeah.
Fantastic. So a lot of stuff will get done within the next two years from what I'm hearing on both water, power, and also LAWA side. Very good. And then how about your contracting is different than our Con Ed, right?
Well, yes, we use the same contract that the water system uses for sidewalk repair, and we also use our in-force crews.
How about LAWA?
It's a combination of contractors and LAWA crews.
Very good. Okay, so let's move over to the port. Harbor Department, Tony's here. Question on the, I'll let you start it then, just answer the question of the Terminal Island, if that's been completed yet.
Okay. Good afternoon. Tony Gioiello, Deputy Executive Director of Development at the port. The port went ahead and we surveyed the sidewalks in and adjacent to the port in San Pedro and Wilmington. We have not yet completed the survey of the Terminal Island. A lot of that's because of the use in Terminal Island. We don't have a lot of general public access in there, but our plan is to complete that survey by the end of the year. Our survey did include about 17.5 miles of street, about 35 miles of sidewalks, and we also some of our survey included actually sidewalks across the street from port property, which is not totally in our jurisdiction, but we included that in our survey. We're currently inputting that into our GIS system. We are going to be overlaying the damaged surveys that we had done on the sidewalk with also our capital plan. And so, for example, as you're aware of the Sampson Way project, we're making sure that we don't go ahead and repair a sidewalk and then it's going to be ripped up to do a major capital improvement. So we're doing all that. We're coming up with a plan so that in the beginning of fiscal year 15-16, we start some of the major repairs. We are doing some of the most severe repairs currently. In fact, in front of our own administration building today, we're repairing some sidewalks and that have been damaged.
Blast that out. You got to tweet that. Let people know you're doing that. You put it on your website. I mean, let folks know. Again, that trust factor. We need to let folks know that we're being responsive.
We'll do. We'll bring that message back.
Thanks.
Let's see.
What's your Twitter handle?
I don't have one.
Come on, Tony.
I'll have to get one soon. Like the other departments, we do have a combination of, we'll be using in-house resources and outside contracting services to do this repair. We have, similar to the water power, some type of on-call, flat work type of contracts, paving contracts that we'll be using. For next fiscal year, we have about $100,000 budgeted into our maintenance program. That doesn't include then the capital program we have. For example, the Front Street, we're actually be constructing brand new sidewalks where there never had been sidewalks to create access. And the Sampson Way project and some other roadway projects we have underway right now. So we are actually building many brand new sidewalks in the area. We anticipate that the entire program for the port, we should be done within a 3-year period of time, completing all the repairs that we have identified. And that's the end of my report.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate the report and also the color-coded map of your survey. I'm looking forward to hearing more of the results of the Terminal Island survey at the end of the year. Colleagues, any questions for our proprietary departments? Good. Gil, you good?
I didn't get color. Oh, you got color.
Yeah, I got a color on this page.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so on this, thanks so much for your report. Really, it's good to know that we're going to make progress here, and we're going to fix all of our sidewalks adjacent to our proprietary departments in the next 2 years, from what I'm hearing. So with that, we got a report from the Harbor Department. We're going to receive and file that report. We're going to ask DWP, LAWA, Harbor Department to submit a year-end report on the sidewalk repairs performed the fiscal year 14-15, and also instruct our proprietary departments to submit a written report to council, CAO, and city engineer within 60 days on their respective sidewalk repair plans for fiscal year 15 and 16. Okay, so we're going to ask for a report in the year end of 14-15 on the progress of repairs, and then looking at fiscal year 15 and 16 within the next 60 days, a written report to council, CAO, and city engineer on your sidewalk repair plans for 15-16. Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. Okay. And Tony, how are we doing with Sampson Way?
Sign's coming along. We're still shooting for September.
Good.
Advertising. May have
Put it out the big.
good problems. If it's a delay, though, it's some outside funding.
Okay, good. Let's get some shovels. Shovels, baby. Okay. Let's take item number 9.
Item number 9 is a motion from Council Members Koretz, Bonin, and Labange relative to the feasibility of permitting micro-libraries in the public right-of-way.
Okay, anyone here from staff to report on this? Kind of the first I'm hearing. I didn't see this come through. Anyone here? Do you guys know what a micro-library is?
I think it's putting the carts out on the street and people can come and get books and leave books. Do it at-
So it's a pop-up library in front of residential or parks or both?
Yeah, good afternoon, Julia Moy, Bureau of Engineering, here with...
Good afternoon, this is Cheyenne Bedin. I'm with Bureau of Engineering Central District.
I'm Tom Carabello with Street Services Investigation and Enforcement.
How many sites, have you given sites to these
One.
pop-up? One site?
That I can think of, sir.
Whereabouts?
I don't know the area, but it's the location that pretty much
Sparked this whole dialogue?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, it's a LAMC violation 5608, which is encroachments, complaint-driven. We did receive a complaint.
Right.
Went out there, basically a box on a parkway that had some books in it.
In a residential area?
Residential area. The individual was given a notice violation, which is basically a warning notice to remove.
And you're being responsive to the community, or the neighbor, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then from there, that's when it became an issue, basically.
All right. So can you tell us the progress of the case, of the citation that was?
Well, at this point, we haven't taken any additional action. Waiting for direction. Again, it's complaint-driven. The years that I've been there, I think this is the first time we've ever dealt with something like this. We deal. The code is actually used for any and all obstructions, encroachments on the right-of-way. So, and typically something like this, if they wanted to keep it, then they would go to BOE to try and obtain a revocable permit.
Got it. So this is kind of triggers this complaint from or this news article from what I'm gathering here, and want to create some type of policy to allow these pop-up libraries, these micro libraries, to be allowed in the public right of way.
Mr. Chairman, can you explain where the public right-of-way is?
Yeah, so what's currently allowable in the public right of way?
Sidewalks,
We're talking about sidewalks, parkways,
Parkways.
streets, alleys. Really, the only way that you can get something allowed on the public right-of-way is to go to BOE and obtain the revocable permit.
Okay.
And then, and other items, street furniture such as newsstands, that are also allowed per the municipal code. Their specifications set. So I think two different mechanisms that are, potential possibilities for coming up with a program to permit these types of installations.
Okay, so how's this different? Like my daughter, my neighbor's kids love doing lemonade stands. Do I need to pull out a permit to do a lemonade stand like on my street?
Typically, nobody's going to enforce that. Usually that's temporary encroachment. You're there for a couple hours and you remove the table and chairs.
But this is similar, it's temporary encroachment.
Well, this is actually was left on the parkway for a number of
For a
weeks.
number of weeks, I see.
Before the complaint came to us, and that's where we
Gotcha,
went out.
gotcha.
And some of them are permanent, like a post embedded in concrete. It's some sort of like a birdhouse, bigger than a birdhouse with books in it.
I see.
The process that we have for allowing non-standard encroachments in public right-of-way is only a revocable permit. It's the only discretionary permit that the staff issues. It will have conditions like liability insurance. The property owner who has underlying fee title records a document that we provide to him, a waiver of damages. Sometimes approval from other departments that are involved, and then we issue the revocable permit. In cases that are controversial, like the revocable permit application is a result of somebody complaining, then we send notices out to the neighbors, and we take it, the staff takes it as a board report to the Board of Public Works. The fee is like $7,000 deposit that the staff charges time to, and it's heard in an open public forum at the board.
Again, we're just looking at the feasibility of allowing these types of micro-libraries to pop up. Mr. Price?
Yeah, no, I think we should consider the feasibility. They're not only popping up on sidewalks, but we're talking about greening some alleys now. And these alleys might, be little mini libraries. We're talking about them being walkable areas for recreation, relaxation and recreation. And I could see a little pop-up library occurring in a alley that's been repurposed. And so we should, figure out a broad policy objective that permits it, but provide some kind of control or some kind of moderation on it.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Price. Mr. Cedillo, everything?
Well, look, you see this, there's a lot of good intentions that people have. The problem is that there's a lot of challenges. Liability is one of the first ones. And that's a concern. You see this right now. We're addressing a concern about our responsibilities in terms of access. That belongs to the city. And so there's these challenges that are, arguably on the other side, somebody can argue this is an attractive nuisance. And so while on one hand we want to clean up alleys and bridges and do all these things to create more habitability, I don't know if it's premature or if it's something that maybe we want to look at maybe a pilot level or a micro level, but it just seems, you see some of these maybe around libraries, maybe around some of the parks. But when we go beyond that is where we begin to encounter conflicting interests, right? This was the same discussion we had, I think, in closed session yesterday, right? So, we're going to end up trying to distinguish with attorneys books versus property, right?
Right.
And how that, where one rule attaches and where one rule doesn't attach.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we might tread a little cautiously here.
Thanks for volunteer. We'll do this chart in CD1 as a first as a pilot program in CD1.
We have
Okay.
two places
Yeah.
that might be appropriate.
Okay, just respond to Mr. Kretzenbonnen's motion. Is there any other comments or suggestions on this item? If not, we'll move this to council without objection and approve this item moving forward. Okay? Thank you. Thanks for your service, too. Appreciate you. Okay, last and final item number 10.
Item number 10 is a motion from Councilmembers Bonin and Huizar relative to prepare, Item number 10 is a motion from Bonin and Buscaino relative to modifying the process for the removal of 3 or more trees on the private property.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Councilman?
Forestry's here. We also have Norman from CD11. Please join us. Thank you for joining us. We'll start with urban forestry. Give us types of trees that are on the protected list today. and explain the public notice and permit process for the removal of trees, or how we have it, how it's
I'll be happy to
today.
do so. Ron Lorenzo, Bureau of Street Services. The protected tree ordinance protects 3 species and 1 genus of trees. The genus is oak. All oak trees are protected here in Southern California, City of Los Angeles. The California sycamore, the Southern California black walnut, and the California bay are the specific species that are also protected. That was a change from 1980.
That's how difficult.
When the law originally was instated, when it protected only oak trees. In 2006, it was amended to protect those new group of species, but the oaks have been protected since 1980. There is actually no public notification process or policy currently for the public outside of these 2 things. We notify the council office in the respective council area of every single tree removal, including protected trees, in their council district. We also notify via our public notification system on the website of protected tree removals as well as street tree removals. So that's the current public notification policy for protected trees. The reason we do not post those trees is they're on private property. Typically, you can't see them. Unlike a street tree where we actually put postings, you've seen those in your district. With private property trees, you can't see those postings. So there's been no other policy of posting beside those 2 methods of the council office and the website itself. Now, relative to the case that precipitated this, which was the case in Sullivan Canyon, first of all, the determination was made by a previous board, so this is a little bit of it's an older hearing now. It was 2 years ago nearly. There was a bit of a mix-up between a CEQA that everybody wasn't aware of relative to the project, and then the Board of Public Works decision that was made relative to that project as well. And just wanted to clear up a couple of items that aren't exactly the way that the process is right now. There is a public hearing for every protected tree removal. So the public hearing request in this notice is already being done as we speak. As I stated, though, there is no 30-day notification time limit for that. For protected trees that are put on the website and for the notification of the council offices, the typical time for a protected tree or any other type of street tree public hearing to get through the process is now between 90 and 120 days. So the posting is available for much more than 30 days.
Okay.
Now, unilaterally, the Bureau has taken it upon themselves because of this case that we are now beginning, and we're in the very beginning stages of doing this, placing on basically a survey stick in front of the property that's affected, a notification much like the street tree notification that will state that so many protected trees on this property, you may or may not see them, they may be in the back of the property, are proposed for removal, that if they would like information, they can contact the Bureau of Street Services, and we will be happy to discuss it with them and tell them when a public hearing may be held.
Are you okay with this process, the notification process? This is Norman Kula, right?
Right. Thank you. Norman Cullen for Councilman Mike Bonin. Well, yes, Ron has conferred with us on the new posting that he's initiated.
Okay.
And
is that what Councilman Bonin envisioned as far as the notification process?
We want to just work. We appreciate Commissioner James and Commissioner Zabo sat down, collaborated, came up with this 3 or more protected trees, some kind of notice to the stakeholders. As what happened in this meeting, just to be clear, is there were like a lot of protected trees removed, more than 50.
Right.
And at the hearing, one of the new commissioners says, "Gee, where's the community?" And unless they monitor the Public Works agenda, they didn't get notice.
Right.
And so no one was there.
Sure.
And that's the problem we want to fix.
Right.
Because they're already doing the hearings.
Got it. And just for let the record reflect that, Commissioner James have done incredible work working with our environmentalists, and this tree removal permit and extension referenced in this motion was approved by a previous Board of Public Works. So he's done everything he can, he and his colleagues on the commission, to reach out to our environmental community. Any questions on this, colleagues? We're good?
I would like to, if I could,
Yes,
take
go ahead,
one more
Tom.
comment. As far as the CEQA review, which is at the very end of this motion, we have been meeting very diligently over the last 3 or 4 weeks. in regards to CEQA, because there are some overlapping issues here. It's not just the public notification for protected trees on private property. The CEQA issue we are looking at very carefully with Commissioner James and Commissioner Zabo and the mayor's office. We're all working very diligently to try to come to some solution on how the CEQA compliances need to be handled on these projects. And we will be working with the planning department, which is also something that needs to be done on a more global issue. And actually, working here for as long as I have now, something I've actually wanted to attack for a long time. And we're going to work with planning, because planning actually should be making the decision on some of these items, especially if they're subdivision. It's in the code that they're the body that's supposed to make that. So we'll be working with them to do that.
Thanks, Ron.
We strongly, the Councilman Bonin strongly supports the correction of the CEQA problem. What happened in this case, and I think it's the subject of an appeal, there was an earlier CEQA process which approved the removal of like 20-some-odd trees. But that was relied upon, the removal of like 57 or 58 trees later in time, and there was no coordination that connected to this case.
Okay, hopefully this will motivate more coordination moving forward.
It is.
So without objection, we'll approve this motion. And Michael, if you can include in the committee report a clarification that permit and extension reference in the motion was an action taken by a previous Board of Public Works and occurred prior to the appointment and confirmation of the current board.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your report. Okay, with that, I think we've come to the conclusion of today's Public Works and Gain Reduction Committee meeting. Thank you so much for all being here. We already satisfied the completed general public comment, so at this point we'll adjourn and we'll see you next time. Thank you.